Rejection is probably one of the worst feelings you can experience in your life. It makes your stomach drop, it gives you like a tight feeling in your chest, and it just overall doesn't make you feel good about yourself. And it also makes you raise the question of why. Why did I get rejected? What did I need to do more of? What was I not doing enough of? And just constantly trying to get an answer to a question that we are even capable of answering for ourselves. And so sometimes we don't realize the impact that rejection truly has on us and how it makes us create our own suffering because we aren't okay with being rejected in life. Rejection is something we have to face on the daily. It's something we're going to have to face throughout our entire life with careers, jobs, people. And so it's important that we learn how to face rejection so that it doesn't always set us back. And so my hope by the end of this video is that, you'll have a better understanding of how to actually approach rejection and not see it as an opportunity to try and do more or question who you are and whether you hold value and whether you're enough. Personally, for myself, I have a bad experience with rejection. If I tell y'all all the stories that I could possibly remember about, how I've reacted to rejection, y'all would truly think I was crazy. There was a time where in third or fourth grade, I remember I gave a girl a teddy bear for Valentine's Day because she had rejected me. I've sent flowers to people's houses because they had rejected me. Okay, not people's, but one person's house because they rejected me. I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of just in my past life and, in my insecure self, where when I faced rejection, I saw it as, oh, I need to do more. Oh, I just need to prove myself. Oh, I just need to, get them to like me, try and convince them to like me how I like them. And, I know a big struggle for myself was that back then when I used to face rejection, it used to be from the people that I was so in my head, I had made up and envisioned that, oh, this is the one, or oh, this is somebody that, I really like, and I just got to get them to like me and, get them to see the value in me, convince them why I should be the one that they choose. And I'm talking specifically right now in just relationships, intimate relationships, but even in friendships, I would get rejected from a group of people that I wanted to accept me. And it made me be the class clown and constantly trying to stand out and constantly just be an attention seeker in order to get them to notice me, because I felt like, hey, if I didn't do all those things, I would get overlooked. And so it was like I had a constant bad relationship with rejection because I just saw it as, oh, what's wrong with me and what do I need to do more of in order to basically get accepted, or in order to receive that love, or in order to get them or convince them to like me. And as you can imagine, that put me in a place of, abandoning myself. It put me in a place of, overthinking and constantly trying to be the perfect person, constantly trying to be who I thought I needed to be in order to please them. And overall, it just kind of put me in a bad space. And the only way I was able to overcome rejection was to become comfortable with it and understand that, hey, it is a part of life, and that rejection is nothing more than other people not seeing the value in me, or just not caring to have, just not being a person for me. And real quick, if you feel like you're in a season of your life where you've been struggling a lot with rejection and allowing it to affect your self-worth, your self-esteem, and overall just your opinion and relationship with yourself, be sure to check out my one-on-one coaching down below in the description, as it might be something that's for you. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And now back to the video. I think we allow rejection in itself to have so much power over us. We allow it to make us question who we are. We allow it to make us wonder, oh, is there something I need to do more of? What am I lacking? What do I, am I not enough? What's wrong with me? It must mean this about me. And it's like we allow our minds to make rejection something bigger than what it really is. Rejection sometimes is just rejection. Sometimes it's not the right time. Sometimes people, again, just don't care for us. I had to learn that, my value is not valuable to everybody, but that doesn't mean that I'm not still a valuable person. I consider myself a funny person. I consider myself a kind person, a loving person, a great personality. I feel like I bring out the best out of people, but I understand that that's not always going to resonate with everybody. People have different values, they have different morals, they have different interests. And so my sense of humor ain't funny to everybody. My love isn't a feeling of love from everybody. And some people can find me obnoxious. Some people can find me annoying. Like, everybody's going to receive me differently. And so rejection doesn't mean, hey, I need to do something different or there's something wrong with me. It might just mean I'm looking for acceptance, or I'm liking people in the wrong space. You'll never be enough for the wrong person, not because you're not enough yourself. It's just you're in the wrong place. You're trying to connect with people who simply don't align with you, who simply just aren't for you. And that is okay. because that's what makes us unique. That's what makes us individuals. That's what makes us, have our own unique value. Because if everybody was for everybody, then none of us would be unique. Nobody would be special. We would all be the same. I talk about this in the past of how I'm special to you guys because y'all resonate with me. And there's probably another creator who's special to another person that doesn't resonate with me. But again, that rejection and people like being like, nah, I don't really mess with him, or nah, I don't really care for him. That isn't meaning like, oh, there's something wrong with me or I need to do something different. It's just like, hey, we just not the person for each other, and that is completely fine. And I think a lot of you just kind of tend to struggle with finding acceptance with not being enough for everybody. Again, just because you're not enough in one area doesn't mean you're not enough in another or for another person. And again, I think a lot of us, we can sometimes get exhausted with that constant rejection, with seeming like, oh, we'll never be in a relationship, or oh, we'll never find the people who are for us, and oh, we constantly have to accommodate to being the person for other people, and we can never fully truly be ourselves. And it's like, well, if you don't allow yourself to be yourself, then how will you ever know if you can find the people who are for you? When you're constantly playing a character, then you'll never know if people like you for you, or if you got to keep up the persona of the character you've been playing. And that all comes with finding comfort in rejection until you find the people who are for you. Because I feel like a lot of times you're going to get rejected a lot more than you get accepted. A lot of people are going to reject you from jobs, from friendships and stuff, then you get accepted. But I honestly feel like that's a good thing, because I feel like when you do finally get accepted in life, and again, whether it's a job, some type of opportunity, whether it's friendship, relationship, it's going to be because you were being yourself. It's going to be you being accepted for being you, rather than you being accepted for, again, the character that you learned how to play, or the people pleasing version of you, and just a version of you that wasn't your authentic self. And honestly, I feel like rejection is where you have to remind yourself of your worth the most. Because I get rejected today, whether it's on a call with somebody and they don't want my coaching, or they don't care to join my program or whatever. Like, I face rejection every single day. And sometimes you have to, again, you got to look at your results. You got to look at your failures, your mistakes, and again, not allow them to be moments that define you. And this is why it's so important to have an understanding of who you are and the value that you hold, and knowing your worth, essentially. Because when you face moments like rejection, and it's something that you've had a hard time with, it can be hard to not chase. It can be hard to not sit there and wonder why. It can be hard to, not try and stand out or feel like you need to do more, or, there's something wrong with yourself. And I feel like in those moments, that's where you have to literally remind yourself of who you are, remind yourself of the value that you hold, remind yourself of how you're already enough, and that you don't need to do anything differently just because somebody decided to reject. And I'm saying all this because I get it. I used to be that person where I constantly, I needed a why. I didn't understand. I was like, man, on my end, it's adding up. Like, we supposed to be going together. This is the relationship, that you my person, whatever. But somehow it wasn't adding up to them. And so rejection, again, I saw it as, oh, why? What do I need to do more? Maybe I just need to convince them in this way. Maybe I just need to do that. Maybe I need to do that. Maybe I just need to do this differently. And then sometimes I would even, because of rejection, it would make me hold on to regret. Especially if it was like somebody I actually knew, it would make me be like, dang, I should have said this differently. I should have said this smoother. I should have let my intentions be known here. Or I should have done this differently. I shouldn't have said that. And it just put me in this spiral of constant negative thoughts, constantly overthinking, constantly holding on to the past, instead of just allowing, again, rejection to be rejection. Obviously sometimes we could do things better in the past. Obviously, there's better decisions we can make, better ways. There's always going to be better out there. And there's always going to be a better way we could have said something, a better way, more clarity or understanding we could have done. I've even been in a situation where I was like, dang, I wish I showed this side of me, or I wish I could get her to fully understand me, or I wish I explained this more so that, I don't know if she fully understood what I was trying to say and stuff. It just puts you down this constant spiral. And sometimes you just got to be willing to let that stuff go. Be willing to say, okay, I might have made a mistake, or, I could have explained myself more, or, they just rejected me, and I have to be okay with that. If somebody decided to reject me, or decide to walk away and decide they no longer wanted to be in my life because of a sole decision, then it's like, all right, then it wasn't going to work out in the first place, because You know, there was going to be another moment down the road where I made a mistake or I said the wrong thing and they were going to let me go. Like eventually it was going to end. And I just feel like sometimes you got to really find trust in your results. Trust that, hey, people walking away, people giving up on you, people holding you against your mistakes, people not seeing you as enough. Is life working out in the way that's best for you, or is life working out in a way that you just may not fully understand? You know, obviously I preach about my faith constantly. I feel like God rejects us in certain places and redirects us to what is for us, the people who are for us, the opportunities who are for us. Because Lord knows, like, I done got rejected from, again, a lot of people. I done got rejected from a lot of opportunities, but it was like in that rejection, I was still willing to keep going. I think a lot of us, we allow our rejections to make us stagnant, where we no longer care to go out and try and build new relationships or try and go out for new opportunities, all because, you know, we faced rejection in the past, or we faced the rejection a lot in our life. And it's like, again, you can't allow rejection to place a limitation on yourself as to what you can and can't do, as to whether you're deserving, whether you're enough, or whether you need to change. Because again, rejection doesn't mean anything but what you allow it to mean. You can see it as an opportunity for growth. You can see it as something that's a limitation, or you can allow it to be something that defines who you are internally to yourself. But regardless, it's all dependent upon you and the way that you choose to see it. But you know, I love and appreciate you guys as always, and I hope you took away a thing or two from the video. Be sure to check out my one-on-one coaching down below in the description, as well as leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Peace.